Good evening. We will call the regular meeting of the North Whitby Pool Park and Recreation District to order at 6:36 on Thursday evening, the 23rd of January 2020. First thing I'd like to do is welcome our new board. All board members are present and accounted for, so thank you all for coming. Congratulations to our two newest members. So first thing, any board issues? Ms. Julie Lee?
Not for me.
Ms. Pat Harden? Mr. Christopher?
Nope.
Shane?
I think mine can wait until the relatable agenda items
Okay.
there.
I have none agenda changes. I would like to add back on Clover Valley under committee reports. And I have one other change, and that would be adding the Special Olympic contract to new business.
Which is not on our
It's on the back. No, that's correct. That's why I'm adding it. So under new business, it'll be Special Olympic contract. And then under committee reports, it'll be Clover Valley. Also, Ms. Burr is taking minutes this evening, so thank you. Any further agenda changes?
Do we not need to move the new officers to the top? It seemed like in past years it was right after agenda changes. I might be wrong.
I don't know if you're wrong or you're right, but
It
we
don't
can
make
definitely,
sense. I don't
we
know
can
either.
definitely make that
That's the way I
agenda
recall.
change.
Is that the way that seemed right to you?
Sure.
Okay. I think so.
So we're going to move new officers out of new business. And you want to move it to?
Right now, I think.
No. It would have to be under unfinished business or new business. We wouldn't, right?
I thought that it was supposed to be ahead of approval of minutes and voucher review, but
Yeah, we can't vote on anything until have been oathed in.
You're already oathed in, correct?
No, it's supposed to happen at the first
It's
meeting.
tonight, so new officers, we will do that right after agenda changes. Now I see what you're talking
yes.
about.
I was
So
look-
it will
I was
re-
look- I was looking at it. That's
No,
fine.
so new officers, I'm sorry, when I'm looking at new officers under new business, that will remain there. That's new officers going forward.
Correct.
So new board members, board members,
So swearing in. like
yes,
swearing.
swearing in board members. Okay,
Before public comment.
yes. Board members before public comment. All right, thank you. You are correct.
Wrong
Now,
wrong words.
yes, now I totally know what you're talking about. Yes, you're correct.
I was sitting there looking at it, that's why I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, any other agenda changes? All right, so let's go into screwing in the new board members. I am on track.
Can you borrow some somehow yours for the word for a
Please.
minute? Somebody's. There you go, that was one of
Can
them.
I
That way he can keep his read along.
I need to sign these too. Or, nope, Sheila signed them? Perfect. Elected official, so you'll both be taking the oath, and just put in this day is the 23rd. All right. Guess we should stand up for this, eh? So you are hereby notified that you received the highest number of votes cast for the office of North Whitby Pool Park and Recreation District for Commissioner positions 1 and positions 3. At the election held in the county and state of the 5th day of November 2019, and given certificate of election and taking oath of office below. So if you both stand and choose, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Christopher Wiggenstein,
I, Julie,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I'm a citizen of the United States
and of the state of Washington.
and of the state of Washington,
and of the state of Washington,
That I am legally qualified to assume the office of
that I am legally qualified to assume the office of
that I am legally qualified to assume the office of
North Whitby Pool Park and Recreation District Commissioner, Position 1.
North Whitby Pool Park and Rec Commissioner, Position 1.
North Whitby Pool Park and Recreation District Commissioner, Position 3.
North Whitby Pool Park and Rec District, Position 3.
That I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
That I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of this office to the best of my ability.
discharge the duties of this office to the best of my ability.
discharge the duties of this office to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we sign, right?
You sign, yes, sir. Could you please pass that over to Miss? Thank you. Thank you. All right, public comment. All right, voucher review. Could I entertain a motion for voucher review, please?
Yeah, sure. I move that we approve of expense vouchers 8441 through 8463 in the amount of $56,003.69. And transfer from the M&O to payroll account of $31,369.16 for a total of $87,372.85.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Harden? Chris, I'm not going to say your last name, I apologize. It's only because it's a tongue twister. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, you'll have to sign the bottom.
Oh, I have to sign the bottom. Sorry. Thank you, ma'am.
$87,372.85.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we get the vouchers or no?
It was handed, unfortunately, it was handed to us tonight when we got here, so, and it's, No, no.
I'm still unfamiliar with how it all works, so. at this
Okay,
point,
so the
I'm not
vouchers-
gonna have any questions.
so the treasurer's report is the page one. Is going to have, these are the bills for the month. These are our reoccurring bills. Julie, you hop in here whenever you want. Generally, these are your electrical, gas, cable, so your big ticket items for each month, water. They're going to be on page, right after that, you're going to have cash balances, so the different account balances. So you have cash, two cash balances, so two separate accounts. And then after that, you have the individual voucher reviews. And that'll break down, a lot of it's repeat from the first page, along with some extra that are thrown in there. So like there's the state auditors. I didn't see the state auditors on the front page. That could just be me not seeing it. And then past that, you'll get the individual bank accounts, and then the Visa. Should be our Visa statements.
Home Depot is in there also.
I'm sorry, Julie?
Home Depot is in there.
Home Depot is in there also, because we asked for that also. Thank you, Julie.
They're kind of out of order. They're all there.
I mean, so for instance, for exercise purposes here. Julie, Doll Electric, $2,866.95. What's that for?
So that one, I believe is the electrical work for the hot tub. On the voucher report, it'll list the date of the transaction or voucher number, the business name or person that it was paid to, and then there's the memo section, which will give you a brief description of what it was. I have been doing a voucher explanation to expand on the information. These were all pretty straightforward, so I did not do that this time. But yeah, that one was electric work for the
Awesome.
hot tub.
And then on your credit card, the Office 365, $17.93. Is that monthly, yearly? How's that billed?
So the two Microsoft ones are monthly charges. One of those is the Office 365 subscription for Word, Excel, Publisher, all of that. And those are currently being used, I think, by 2 users. And then the online exchange plan 1 is our email. So that's what we pay monthly for all of the email accounts. And right now, that's one for each of you, each department head and the director, I believe.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Julie, once again, just the tracers information, the background checks. We do that, that's how many, 75 was for how many employees,
So $25 a month is what we pay for the service.
right?
And then, I'm not sure how many employees that covers specifically, but it is so much per hit you get.
Mm-hmm,
So it's like between $1 and $3 per hit.
okay.
I think that this was a group of maybe 10 or 12 employees that got done all together. We paid that 75.
All right. And then I saw we spent a little bit on concessions. How is that going for years so far?
If you look at the P&L,
Mm-hmm. So for our new commissioners, P&L is going to be that wonderful.
profit and
Yep.
loss statement. So if you look at the P&L for years to date, it looks like our gross was 2,600.
Okay. It's showing our
For
expense.
revenue.
Right.
And then the expenses for,
It's showing 0, and that's why I asked.
that's very.
What line is that?
Expenses is 20-34. So 20-34.
So I will have to get you the exact number. It's because it's going on my visa, and those numbers haven't transferred into here.
Okay,
So
can we,
I will correct that.
Okay.
All concessions are sold at a profit, and we only restock as we run out, so I know we're always in the black on it,
right.
but I will get the exact numbers for you.
All right, thank you so much. And then Pete, quick question. We spent a good amount of money on some gloves. Is that the cheapest way to do that? Or is there a reason we're buying the blue nitrils from Home Depot? I would think bulk, there's got to be a bulk way of doing that. And I know that's nickel and a diamond, and I don't mean to. But if we could just take a look at that and see if maybe there's a better way of doing that. And that may be the best way to do it. I don't know.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is Whitfield's unit?
That is our insurance company.
Okay.
So there was a merger between them and Levitt Group, I believe, and the word has just completely left my mind. But the number that I get from county for the check disbursement, it is either or. So when I entered it, that's just how they produced the check.
Yeah, no.
It
that's-
freaked me out a little bit too when I saw that because I didn't know what it was, but I called and we were good to go.
Yeah, and I just thought rather than checking the dimes and nickels, check the big numbers.
And that is a big number.
And is that the down payment?
That's, yes.
And so then it'll be a monthly basis? Is that the way it's?
You guys voted for the quarterly, I believe?
Yes.
Okay.
Further questions? Discussions? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All against, the motion passes unanimously. Committee reports. Clover Valley. So we're lucky enough to have our Little League folks here tonight. So to bring the board up to speed, one of the things we talked about in the past is right of first refusal should something happen to the board, or to the district, not the board. Legal counsel said because it's county property and it's the taxpayer's property, we can't do that, which makes sense, because if the board, if we don't pass the levy, the district goes back to the county and we're separated by them. Should the same thing that happened 2 years ago happen again. So we can't do that. But there's got to be a better way of going forward. I know the concern from the Little League folks was how do we ensure that there's a way forward for us so that we can maintain playing ball? Kind of like we should have something for the dog park to make sure that the dog park's there, you know. And how does that look for the board? So what I asked, you can hand that right down to Miss Julie. That would be awesome. Thank you. So knowing that one of the proposals that we came up with we can't do, what is our way forward, our agreement with Little League? And why don't we have a contract out there like we do with other users of the pool? One thing to keep in mind as we go forward is the Little League, much like the dog park, they bring in as much, if not more, than the district puts into that area. So that user agreement, so to speak, for lack of a better term, would not be the same as it is with the high school or like Blue Herons or with the kayaks, or scuba folks. So it's obviously different because this one, they donate as much as we put in out there. So how does that look going forward, and what's acceptable? And so representing the Little League, knowing that going forward, is there something, what I'd like to ask with the board's agreement is for you and Pete to meet sometime between now and next month so we can get a user agreement that's going to outline something that's going to benefit both organizations, the district to have you there as the Little League guys and gals, and then for us also with the dog park. So I think we could get a rep from the dog park to meet with Pete in the next month. And get user agreements with both organizations so that we continue on having these organizations as part of the district. They've got...
They're loosely organized, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I was that organization.
We'll be talking to the dog.
And I might just visit with you and come up with something, and then I
Okay.
can take it out to them.
Can I
Okay.
just make one correction?
Yes, ma'am.
Not call it Little League, because that's two separate organizations.
Yeah.
I was gonna correct him, but I was waiting
No,
for him.
so what should we call it? No, thank you. What
It's
should-
not,
It's Oak Harbor Baseball Association.
There we go. I am so sorry. So,
That's okay.
I
was
misspoke.
waiting for you to finish.
No, that's okay.
We can stone you later.
You have stone me later. So Oak Harbor Baseball Association.
Yes.
Okay, so if we can do that, Pete, that would be great. And if we could get that we'll make that as an agenda item for unfinished business next month, unless the board objects. Yes,
No,
ma'am?
I don't object to any. You said that they bring in more than what we put out, but how does the dog park bring in money?
Well,
I'm just asking.
they don't bring in money that actually shows up on our books. I don't know that you really do either.
they invest.
They invest money, personal dollars, into the upkeep of the property. I know that the baseball field's been doing that for years, and the dog park, all the fencing was done by donation and organizations long ago.
Good question.
So, excellent question, but yeah, so they're not really bringing money that's going to show on our bottom line
Okay.
necessarily, but they are doing upgrades that are monetarily
And that-
not a dollar figure.
That's a great question, Pat, and thanks, Chris, for answering that. I mean, if you looked at the baseball folks, they actually just weed and feeded correct both fields just recently. And that they got that through their donations, and so hopefully that user agreement, Pete, will have us working with them to go out and get those donations, work together to maybe find a better way forward for both user areas for the district.
Okay, and I can look into that, but one thing that our neighbor may not know, I don't know, I know sometimes, but they used to pay all the time, but this year we never billed them, so I don't think they paid.
We did not. We did not pay anything.
Yeah, and
Well,
by the time I was here and we discovered that, we just said, well, we're not going to bother. So they didn't, they did invest a lot of their money, which I don't know, some of that action, but basically they didn't pay for the field at all.
So maybe through discussions, bring up option, and I would say COA 1, 2, or 3 to bring to the board that works for both organizations, to going forward, and we can vote on that as a board.
Just one other question, has the dog park ever had to pay?
No, but it's funny you should mention that. Years ago, I said to Steve McCaslin, just like a hanger in their mirror and a window or an iron an Iron Ranger out there to pay $1, and they'd come here once a year and buy a small ticket for $20 or something. And, he didn't think it was a very good idea, but then I've talked to some other people since then that said, oh, that's a good idea. They could invest a little bit to pay for it. So, but I haven't got to talk with Chris. It probably was going to come up in our
Next time we'll talk.
next time.
Ideas about how to.
I can talk about it with Chris the next time.
So look at what,
Last year, we had talked about, we're fine changing something, I don't think we're up to that. We also talked about anybody in general renting that area. If we're renting the area and we're taking care of it, our biggest upset is we come back at the start of baseball season and it's destroyed because softball's gone in there or whoever's gone in there, they don't take care of it. So if it's going to be a radio charge, anybody using it moving forward should be charged. They want to rent the field, great. You get your deposit back after it's been inspected. You want to rent the field, it's this much, give us a such deposit, and expect you to get that back. Just to be sure that, because they're using our equipment, I give them keys out of the shed, I don't get the key back, I come back, and brakes are, one's over there, and one's over there, one's in the other shed, so.
okay.
Just something to think about if we're doing that,
Yes.
we can incorporate that as well. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was, last year we were promised a budget that we would be able to help use towards upgrading that area. I came up with a plan for some batting cages between the two fields. I have a budget, I have donations, I have all the things. So I didn't know what that number is, what our budget or our allowance is for this year for the field.
I don't know for sure, but it seemed to me when we went through the budget, there was $10K in there and we made it 5.
Do you remember why that was? Because unfortunately, that was the one meeting
That's what I remember.
that was the one meeting I
I
wasn't
was just
at.
present for the meeting, I'm not sure why that was reduced.
Shane?
I'm pretty sure that is.
Yeah, there's a couple things I have.
And we weren't here to vote on that either.
Yeah, you guys weren't either. So a couple things I have. The Oak Harbor Baseball Association has been an amazing partner out there. The fields look nothing like they used to, and the Babe Ruth did well as well. It's just, it has been amazing how much it has transformed. I mean, they're an amazing partner in the sense that they're a pretty big visible part of our district out there. Keeping kids out of jail. I mean, seriously. I mean, what else are they going to do? Not too many options here in Oak Harbor. Back to bringing in more money than we put out. We know that every levy here that has passed or failed has been by just a couple hundred votes. And I think baseball could easily account for those. So there's a couple things I've been wanting to see in a contract moving forward. I certainly think any contract agreement with them should be for the remainder of the levy cycle at minimum. And the $10,000 a year for improvements out there should definitely, seeing what they did last year with that amount of money, it would be pretty silly not to move it back to $10,000 in my opinion. At whatever it is, $650,000 a year, whatever the levy is, I think we can find $10,000, that's my opinion.
So do we need to put that on the agenda for next month, along with,
So you're talking about amending the budget?
so the budget shows the ball fields at 10,
That was last year.
dog park at 5.
And that was last year, dog park got cut too.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not proposed 2020 in your hand.
No, ma'am, it is not.
2020, do we have that? So you don't,
I have
So-
2020 right now.
How about this? We put, we'll add to next month's agenda under new business, review of the 2020 budget by the new board.
Awesome.
So
fair enough, yeah.
let's put that under new business and we'll take note of that.
Okay.
Is that,
So we can still work on.
Oh, please.
using
Please.
agreement
Yes.
Between now and then, and those dollar amounts can be worked out.
yes,
And they will work.
so unfinished. And then,
Are we going to try to incorporate the dollar amount into the agreement?
We can't have a final number in the agreement if you and I talked before then, but that's what I was kind of.
So I would say probably not, since the budget is done every year. So here, let me ask a silly question, dude. We do the budget every year, so we're gonna lock in a number every year that we don't wanna raise, or, because if we lock it in, then we can't raise or move it.
Correct.
Or do we wanna leave that number for the budget approval every year? I know that's a nebulous thing, if you're an organization, steady is better than none, but, and we don't do that with
I think
any
it might be
other.
wise.
Well, there again, I mean, within everything's related to contract. When we were at the college, sometimes we sign a 2-year contract for how much they're gonna pay. And then we just have to honor for that 2 years, even if in the process we decided we would raise the price per lane hour and things like that. If we sign the contract, we still have to do it. So it's possible to me that you could do it either way.
Right.
If you could decide on an amount that you want.
And you know what I said, give us like course of action, I'm sorry, I use some weird acronyms at times. Course of action 1, 2, or 3 on the proposal. That way there's course of actions for both sides to look at, saying, yeah, we want this one, this is the most preferred. You know, course of actions, COA 1 is the one we want to go with, and this is why. COA 2 is the one that, you know, will work, and COA 3 is kind of like, it's not really going to work at all.
Right, but I thought we were talking about Shane saying it should be for the whole time of the levy, whenever you have a new budget
So-
every year. So that, I thought that was the point
That was one point that was brought up by,
I mean, I think budget be budget, but if we sign a 5-year contract with the high school for the swim team,
Yep.
we're obviously agreeing to keep water in the pool and keep the water somewhat heated. So there's a cost there. Whether the budget goes to hell or not, that's our agreement. It costs way more than $10,000 a year to run and maintain the ballpark. I don't know why we couldn't say that we're gonna at least put X amount into it. That's
No,
where I was going.
I don't have a dog in the fight,
Yeah.
so to speak. That doesn't matter.
Exactly. He's got a copy.
I'm just trying to figure out
Correct. So
where we go, what guidance we got here.
So that's one course of action, that's one I would support. I mean, but
Okay.
maybe it's a good idea, like Sean said, to come with 3 or 4.
So the current budget for 2020 has the ball fields at 5,000, dog park at 2,500. Currently, right? And we're.
I was at the meeting and I was, not voting, but I.
so we can look at that in our
I'm happy with
review.
those figures.
So yeah, reviewing that gives us an opportunity to propose changes. We can't do it tonight, it's not fair.
Right.
Yeah,
I knew that. I just wanted to
so,
come and talk about it so we get it.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
glad you did talk
Let's
about
get it back on there at least, I mean, but
I might
at this
have
point,
tipped
there's
them
at
off.
least 5,000.
And I'm gonna leave with, I had planned on having and using that based off the conversation we had last year. And
So you have plans moving forward?
absolutely.
Okay.
And I have the budget, and I had, it's actually $22,000, but I have everything donated up to 10 grand.
Okay.
Just like last year, we did over $30,000 worth of work, but we took 10 grand and I paid everything that we paid, and that was that. So, with that being said, I hope that we can find something and get close to that. Anyway, so.
We'd love to hear the plan, what you got planned at some point too. That'd be
The
really
batting
cool.
cages,
I
right?
think
Cages.
Batting cages.
you told us that too before
Yeah,
last year's
okay,
budget.
yeah.
Right.
The fence will split the field and then the batting cage inside. 2 batting cages and 2 pitching stations on the other side.
Oh, right
Also
on.
includes a shed in the middle which will hold the pitching machines, which will be ran by a generator. But it'll be locked up. So,
Which goes into the
14
user.
padlock.
no, yeah, yeah,
And an armed
Yeah.
guard.
and an armed guard.
Yeah,
And
I'm all
we have
in
our
favor.
couple dogs too.
Dude, nice. I'm all in,
That was the plan.
all in favor of trying to help figure out a way to support you in your endeavors. Obviously, that's what we want to do. So it just takes us an opportunity to look at the budget again
Well,
with fresh eyes.
I've already gone down to the county and talked to them about water. It's already been marked out. I'm just waiting for approval.
Cool.
Thank you for coming, I
Hear
appreciate
more.
it.
Thank you so much.
All right, any further from you on Clover Valley? Any further from the board?
No.
All right, got those 2 action items for next month. All right, first Unfinished business, we'll go to interim director or hiring new director. So,
Let's do it.
yes. Thanks, Pete, for coming back.
Do we need to formalize something for Pete going forward? Or are we just,
Interim, you can stay interim until.
okay, then we don't need to worry about Pete bonding that.
First of all, Pete, I think, I'm so glad you're here. I think you're doing a fine job, and, which is part of the reason that I felt comfortable in saying, some of the board decisions that put us where we're at right now, some of the past board decisions that put us where we're at right now, was a wrong-headed and unforced error. The process that got us to the candidates we have, there's a million things about it that are all wrong and backwards. We might have the best candidate in the world sitting out there, but if we bring that person in here right now, the public's going to do one thing, and I don't want the public to do that. So I think we probably need to reach out to this person and say, hey, we need to open this back up. It can be a fairly expedited process, I would think, but I think what I've heard from the public is there's only one way we get to where we have a director in this building that we know can pass a levy in 5 years. And I think that person has to have the public support moving forward. And I think the only way to get there is by having a proper process of the new board. That's all I have on it right this split second.
Any other board members before I comment?
Well, my comment would be is what was, in your opinion, improper about our process?
I don't think it was posted it was not posted for the length of time we had talked about on the National Recreational Park Association website, for instance. The way the intake of the way the intake of the applications was filled in, I don't believe was wholly legal. The fact that Marilyn Stadler, for instance, the former director of Fidalgo Pool, who's very connected over there still, had no idea that the job had even been posted. I don't think it was advertised appropriately. I could keep going on, but I think, like I said, I think it was an unforced error.
So I'm going to hop in here, Commissioner Harden, if you don't mind. So the expedited process, it was open for over 6 weeks. It was totally legal. We actually used a third-party processor for resumes to make sure that they didn't come through the front door, they didn't go to anybody's email, they went to a third-party processor, which was, that way it took out any impartiality. Not only did Marilyn Stadler know about it, she had conversations with 2 board members on 2 separate occasions during the process and made it very clear that as much as she would like to come back to help as a consultant, she didn't want to come back and take the job, even part-time. And on the second time, because this was in December, when we were worried about our intern leaving, we asked her if she would come back for a couple of weeks between December and January, and she said, no, because of personal reasons, I can't. Commissioner Hoffmeyer would have known that had he been here for any meeting during that period. But
Everything you just discussed was for a meeting that I was at.
I didn't interrupt you.
Well, but
I didn't interrupt you.
I didn't say nothing that was untrue either.
Hold on.
I didn't say nothing that was untrue. Go ahead, because it's the last time you're going to be able to do it. Go for it. Do it again, because it's the last time you're going to be able to do it. Go for it, because you can't do it again after this meeting. Thank you.
It's the only time I've done it in over a year. I didn't interrupt you. I waited until you were done, so I'm going to ask you for the same consideration. Thank you. So, you were here for the initial meeting, and then when we made changes, you weren't here for any of that. And when we tried to reach out for you, you weren't there for any of that. So while I think you have some concerns, they were all answered in public meeting. So, I'm not saying you're not allowed to have your own opinion. I don't think Commissioner Harden or I would ever take that away from any commissioner. I would say your comments are grossly incorrect. And while I have no problem with going forward with a new process with the board, I think some of the wording you chose was poor. So, and we're both entitled to our opinion. However, Not only was it legal, it was very well thought out, and there was a lot of good candidates that we looked at. I think not only the two of us, I will recognize you in just a second. I think not only the two of us saw those candidates, but the two prospective board members actually met with one of the final candidates going forward. But we haven't taken any motion on that, even in that expedited time, because it just wasn't approved. Which is why it's still on here for us moving forward. So moving forward, what is the process? And I think that's what we're all here to talk about tonight, is what do we want to do now? What is the way forward? And how does that look going forward? So you had something you want to say? I'll recognize you.
Though we are entitled to our own opinion, that is correct. None of my actions forced us to need and pay for legal counsel. That was done because the entire process started out wrong-headed. That's why our lawyer is still protecting the minutes of that meeting. Everything about it started out as just a total and utter manure show, and everybody knows it. Even the people that don't want to admit that it was wrong, it's glaring that it was. I am very hopeful for the next person, whoever that is, that we do open it up for them, to everyone. I would hope that it's not something that takes an extraordinary amount of time.
Julie, do we have any public records requests for minutes that we haven't filled?
We did have one patron that did request the recording to be uploaded from that meeting.
Right.
And we responded to him that it was being held until the lawyer said it could be released.
Which will be never.
For
the meeting where that
That's
October.
special meeting in October.
Yes. The October special meeting.
But that had nothing to do with the hiring process.
We fired the damn director, started the whole frickin' process.
Jesus Christ has nothing to do with this.
Can
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like us to focus back on where we're at.
Sounds good.
And what I would like to do is I'd like to make a motion. I move, we reopen the director position for a period of 21 days. And one of the two of you that had done the interview process should probably reach out to the last standing candidate that I'm aware of, and inform him that he's already a contender for that if he would like to stay in that regards. He doesn't need to reapply. He's already done that process. He should not be punished for this. And and we go from there. I think that's...
So reopen for 21 days,
Yes.
okay? And last candidate
And then
moves forward.
Yeah, the last candidate is informed of the reopening and is, still in the top tier.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so second. So now we've got it reopened for 21 days. How are we going to, now I'll ask questions, and this is, how are we going to advertise?
So, as ignorant as I am to the advertising process that we would normally do it, I would say we would cover all bases that we advertise. And do we need that specialized in the motion? I don't know that we do.
We can put it in the discussion for the motion, but we should probably discuss it.
So during this, so the motion's now open for discussion, we're discussing it. I will gladly entertain friendly amendments along
Sure.
the way as need be, and amendments to those amendments as we need to be or whatever. But wherever we can advertise to get it out there the most, so that we have the greatest pool of opportunity to select the right person. So whatever that may be, Indeed, Whitby News Times, Seattle Times, Munster, I don't care, right? The Parks and Rec thing that
Right.
I hear about, all these different areas, I would assume, that's kind of an unspoken rule when you're putting an ad out, you're gonna put as much of it out there as possible.
I'm interested to see what comes from Indeed and the NRPA now that we're away from the holiday season. I think that might be extremely interesting, the possible difference. And I think anything we could do to get Jesse Stinsland or Kathy Reed or somebody to get us on as close to the front pages of their paper as we can, that we're hiring a new director and where we're at, new board. I don't see why it's not part of the new board story, et cetera, moving forward. The chamber, it should obviously get sent out to their 400 members, et cetera. And, yeah, go from there.
So, do we agree we want to use Whidbey News Times, National Parks Recreation Association?
So the motions- I just want to bring us back to focus, right?
Yep.
The motion is to reopen it.
Right.
Right? I think the details of how we go about doing it, I think that's nitpicking
Okay,
of this board.
So
to
who's
have to
gonna-
try to play that out.
you're right. So who's going to lead the search and be in charge of how we do this?
How did we do it? How have we done it over the past?
Unfortunately, in the past, we've put it all in the motion and carried forward with that. So, to do it differently this time, if we want to have a subcommittee, which would be the easiest way to do it, going forward, have two people as a subcommittee to put it out there, along with the director.
Okay.
I think that would be
I think that's ideal. I think
a good way to do it.
director's input would be- Yeah, the interim director's input would be vital in this.
Okay. So, the motion is to reopen for 21 days and keep the last candidate moving forward. As the part of the discussion, I'd say we'd appoint a subcommittee to make sure that it's as widely distributed as possible
I think so, that's fair. I'm fine with
and
that.
to lead and follow the process through. Ladies,
I'd be willing to be on the subcommittee, yes.
okay?
I'm willing to be on it, or I'm willing to, you know.
So I can only have 2 commissioners on it, so can I have 2 volunteers?
Yeah, I'll sit on it.
All right, so Chris and Julie will be doing that, going forward. Fantastic.
If it passes. If it passes.
Well, the subcommittee doesn't need, here's the cool thing, subcommittee, if the motion passes, we'll appoint the subcommittee. That's actually a really good point. Yeah.
If we were ahead, we're a little.
Yeah, we're a little bit ahead of the game here. So further discussion on the motion.
I certainly support reopening it. I don't feel comfortable with just the last candidate who was left. I mean, not that I'm not comfortable with him as a person, but just that it would be nice to have a clean look and some options. And with Pete as the interim, we're in good hands. We're not under the gun. I think we have some time here that we can handle this the right way.
We like his hourly rate, so.
Right. So if he were not here, I'd feel differently.
Correct.
And I would, but now that he's back.
Can I make one comment?
Yes, ma'am.
If we reopen, I would like to make sure that our candidate that we were very impressed with that had to pull out is notified that we're reopening.
So the top 2 last candidates.
The one, I'm talking about the one that said
Yes.
that he could not.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of.
Same one.
Yes.
Yes, same one.
I
Got
would
it.
entertain anybody who's applied, actually.
That's what I was going to say.
You know,
Why don't,
any of those
I
top
think we can
finalists.
just indeed email out to everybody.
Yeah, I love that.
And I'd like to make a suggestion, 21 days isn't going to be long enough
Isn't gonna be long enough?
for the whole process. So, can we say reopen for a minimum of 21 days?
I mean, are you amending that? Is that what you're asking?
I'm going to ask you to amend it to say a minimum of 21 days.
Sure, I'll amend that. Do we have a second on the amendment?
Can we I'm getting there, hold on, I'm writing it down. Hold on, I'm a Marine, I can only do so many things. So anybody, a second, thank you. So we have a second for the reopen for a minimum of 21 days. All right. Any further discussion?
On the 21 day, on the
That's
minimum
correct.
of the 21 days.
That's correct.
I have no further discussion on that, I'm fine with that.
All right.
Is there a maximum amount of days? Just curious.
Have her repeat.
No, if you want to know that, springtime, I don't want to say when springtime is, but springtime, and I will be done. I mean, I'm going to
That's our
Australia and
deadline.
Africa in June.
Man, you can rub it in. You gotta rub it in.
We would step in here.
All right. So further discussion on the motion? None? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. So, one of the last things I'll get to do, as the chair, is appoint a subcommittee. So I will appoint 2 volunteers, Chris and Julie, to be in charge of the new director search. So, all right. Done.
Where's that admin assistant when we need her? Yeah, or her.
Okay, reserves and cash flow. Do we have a cash flow statement, Julie? I didn't notice one.
We do not. That's
Okay.
been an ongoing thing that we've been wanting to work toward, and
Right.
I think we're just about there.
Okay,
Now
so,
we've been open long enough that we should be able to project what's going to happen in the coming year.
next month?
Hopefully, that
Okay.
is my goal.
All right. OPMA discussion. So, and
OPMA is the what again?
Open Public Meeting Act. I'm looking for my, hold on, you have to bear with me. But as we're going to go into executive session for a whole whopping 10 minutes, folks.
Minimum of 10, is that what you're saying?
What's that?
You said, we're minimized to 10, right? But
Minimum of 10.
we could end up over, but we're not fine.
We have to do the minimum number. We can go over, but not under. And oops. Oops. I'm just looking for the, in accordance to RCW 42-30, 020, we're going to go into the executive session for a minimum of 10 minutes from 7:22 to 7:32 to discuss OPMA and some legal action from our council. So we'll now do see if we can get that one to work, please. Sure it's not as many. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 7:40. Outsourcing proposals. I don't think we've got those yet from anybody. You've been gone for a month,
Yeah.
so I'm
I did
gonna.
have a volunteer,
Yes, ma'am.
Pacific Grace County, Ronnie Wright. He said that he'd work up something, whatever you wanted, and he would charge us 75% of the cost.
For
Outsourcing financial things that we might request.
so as you develop those outsourcing proposals, Pete, can you get with Commissioner Leet and get that information so maybe we can have that to look at next month?
Be one you could share with someone, another.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Pete, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I guess you voted to go forward with that at the last meeting.
To look at proposals, yes. So,
gathering.
and we need to gather some information to see, whether it's cost effective or not, and what it looks like. We've got somebody that's going to help us with it, so if you can get with Commissioner Lee to move forward with that. As we look at that, I think the board would appreciate it. Anything else from the board? No? All right. Maintenance plan review. So one of the things we've been asking for is an update to the maintenance plan. Nothing? Okay, thank you. We had an old maintenance plan, and with all the work we've had done, you need to chime in here because you know the most on what's been done. We've had no update. and we need to know what we want to do, and this is the perfect time to do it as we review the budget next month, to also review the maintenance plan. What's been done, what still needs to be done, and what are the priorities from the maintenance folks, so that we can look at and bounce that on the priorities that the board thinks.
We're operating off of something that I picked up reading before I left. February 28th, 2019, North Whitby Park and Recreation District Comprehensive Maintenance Plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
There was that, and what's been done this last year?
I've looked over it. Okay.
Okay.
Page 6, what did it say?
But I don't think that reflects what we've done the last year.
Well, so,
Yeah, I don't know if it has, like the hot tub and stuff, for instance, especially.
Well, I don't think all the work that's been done in
It might
the,
not be, yeah, we need to look at it, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we were open.
So is anybody aware of any other documentation of what we have done for the last year? So I mean, that,
There-
I have this to start with.
there was a former, the former director did have a report, but when we read it, it didn't look all encompassing. I don't think he was able to put everything in there. So I would say, no. Would you have time to get with
Of course.
Steve? Pete, can you get with Shane, and he'll help you with that?
I know that the biggest thing moving forward this year was the roof that, some of the 1,000-foot level estimates on the roof for $250,000 maybe, so
Right.
that was a pretty good chunk.
But clearly, Matt can help me with some of the things
Oh,
that
absolutely.
were done.
Absolutely.
And then I can create that list or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
And then I can see if there's any gaps to fill in.
And it'd be very easy to go back to last year's invoices as
That's what
well.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We got the invoices.
You might find that old report too, and it could be like a rough draft starting point too as well to launch.
And I'll go back through emails to see.
Another
Yeah, I might
thing
have
was
a
in there
paper
was-
copy of it somewhere too.
Another thing that was in there was a new pool heater coming up. What, if we can afford it this year, if not next, 36,000 or
And I've
something.
heard you talk
It would
about
pay for itself in less than
and
a
I've
year,
heard-
they said.
And I've heard and remember that.
And the heater is the one in this room.
The boiler.
The boiler.
Big boiler.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And
What
Pete,
we're trying to create is an
What's been
updated
done.
version of this.
yes, sir. That's what the board,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm looking for nods. And that's what the board wants, is an updated version for that. While you were gone, we did have an overpressurization issue, going up and down and back and forth. The bearing guy was here for a heating issue in the locker rooms, right? We had no heat in the front half of the building. Matt was able to finally get a hold of him, and of course it was the cold snap, so everybody was getting a hold of Barron. So the bearing guy did finally make it out here, had the part, replaced it in the pouring rain. When he came inside, I asked him about the blowers. And apparently we're still doing it. Matt was going up and adjusting the vents on the blower by hand. And I said, what? I was unaware of that. I don't think any of us, I don't even think you were aware of that.
Everything that controls them has been rusted off for a long time.
And, okay,
But I know
so,
that,
yeah, so that's what the bearing guy said, is the blowers for the ventilation in the pool and in the front part of the building need to all be replaced. They're rusted.
Well, I knew the overpressure before I left.
Yeah.
We were sitting
And
looking
it-
at the doors, and it doesn't seem quite as bad since I've come back. But-
And the only way to fix that has to do with computer system and with getting there's two parts. One's the computer system. The other part is, I guess it was on DOS. It may be as old as an Atari or older, but also the mechanical parts are rusted. So there's two parts to that fix.
And of course, Whitby Tech was just here, I think, about the computer part.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's like the air blend door on the heater on your car, basically, where you can control the amount of
There you go.
outside air that comes in. So when it's cold, you don't want 80% outside air like you might want in the summertime. But you still need the same amount of air flowing to get the chloramines off the
And a
surface of the water.
computer program should be running,
Should
not
be.
by hand.
Yeah.
And not Matt climbing up and down.
Is this the same thing we were talking about the other day?
Yeah, it's-
It is connected, yes.
Okay. Because that's not working.
Yeah. So if we can add that to that, I think that would be awesome.
So and you're saying that that wasn't in the original report?
That's correct.
Thank you.
On the back
Thank
of on the back of the building, there, straight through that blue door. Well, more behind the lifeguard room. There's like an air intake chamber, and there's a bunch of louvers on the back of the building that are probably like maybe 15 feet wide and probably 15 foot tall. And that's what these mechanics are supposed to open and close based on the computer. But everything's rusted out and gone. None of it's there except the louvers. So it'd probably be pricey, my guess. My guess.
Nothing's cheap.
No.
There's also something that Matt mentioned about there's going to be a compliance thing with the city that's going to be costly, and we have to be compliant by the summer. I don't know what that is, but he's mentioned it twice.
So whatever it is
He
that,
hasn't mentioned that to me.
okay, if we can find out, make sure that's in the report, because if we have an oh my gosh thing, we need to, the board, I'm sure. would
Right
like
now,
to
it's an
look
oh
at
my darn, but if it's April when we get it, and it's May when it's needed, it's an oh my gosh.
it. There you go. Anything else for the maintenance plan review?
Well, is everybody updated on the hot tub?
No.
Let's wait for staff reports on that,
Very
if we
well.
could. Thank you.
See what?
I mean, the only thing I get without having any idea, because I have been out for a few minutes, the compliance thing, I can't imagine it being anything more than a backflow prevention thing, hopefully. I mean, we'll see, but hopefully it won't be that expensive. Does that sound familiar? Backflow preventer maybe? No? Shouldn't be anything else in here that they're interested in.
I feel better.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yes.
I think that's it.
Okay. Strategic plan review, we're gonna table that until we actually have, unless there's a commissioner that wants to bring anything forward on that. I think we should table that.
Strategic plan review is in like what we're moving forward?
Yes, moving forward, Commissioner Shingleton had started something last year, brought it at the last meeting.
And
Yeah,
I don't
so,
necessarily recall it. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
so until we have a new director,
Yeah, I think we need to wait till.
anybody want to discuss it this month or move? No? All right. All right. Employee handbook, did we ever get anything from Donna Sue?
I thought that was, oh, she was just gonna go in and
Fix those things.
Fix them
Fix a
and then
couple
send it to Pete. So Pete, if you haven't gotten something from former Commissioner Holly, let me know as you go past in your emails.
Well, I'm relatively sure I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay, so I will call and ask, because it was my understanding, correct me, she was gonna follow it up with Pete and give it to him, correct?
These emails were going in my promotions category.
I forget the exact,
Verbiage on that?
Thanks.
yes.
She was gonna type up a few things and get it.
Right,
I don't
it
know
was-
who to who, but the follow-up would be just.
Okay, I'll follow up with her.
A courteous thing to do for
Yep.
her. She'd probably appreciate it.
All right, we talked about the user agreements. All right, new business. So, new business, the first thing is we will do new officers. It's a new year, so we need to do new officers. Do we have any nominations? Shane?
First of all, the little thing earlier was not, it's not personal, it never has been with us. I love Sean, I have for a long time, and as I've said for the last couple of years, we wouldn't have been able to reopen without you, that's definitely a fact. Thank you. I nominate that, I move that we nominate Christopher Wittgenstein as board chair, and then we'll go from there.
I second that. Enthusiastically. Thank you. Any further discussion on that motion?
I'd be more than willing to do that if that's what the board decides.
Christopher has extensive board knowledge and a strong background, and he'd be great.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Since I don't know you that.
More than happy.
What makes you qualified to do that? I mean,
That's a great question. Basic knowledge of the last 12 years of sitting on boards, multiple boards at a time and have served as chair in a few different boards and have a very general, extensive, but yet still general knowledge of Robert Rules of Order. And so that skill set is what brings it to the table that allows,
And specifically, how familiar are you with the rules for the Parks and Rec department? Pool park and rec?
not exact. I mean, to sit here and quote them, I'm not to get brought up to speed. I can be brought up to speed very quickly, as long as I have access and know exactly where they're at. My experience with boards is the general, chair of the board is agenda maker / kind of the point person and kind of just facilitates the meeting.
Okay. That answers my questions.
Further questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Chris. So that takes care of the work with chair, and we have a vice chair, and that's it. Any motions?
I motion to have Sean Merrill as the vice chair.
A second.
Second, discussion.
Continuity, knowledge, history. I think that's
A wise transition.
to support Christopher in the transition. Simple.
So what are your qualifications?
Zero. None.
He's a Marine, but then
That's a none.
At least somebody knows how to use the gavel.
Occasionally.
finally.
That was your training.
And you're done, Chris. All right, any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. All right. I would also like to take this time to thank Julie and her staff for picking up the secretary's position and in the absence of the interim administrative assistant taking notes. Another thank you to you, young lady, again for tonight. So thank you both. We're gracious. Close that out. Monthly meeting schedule is next. If we go by fourth Thursdays, as we're currently doing, that leaves November and December, we would have to move again. Any motions out there about that day or changing that day?
I'd like to just open up with a little discussion first, just kind of get an idea before I go making any kind of a motion.
Yeah.
I'd love to get a feel for the board about potentially switching the day of the week and the week of the month.
We could switch the date pretty easily. As far as switching the week, I don't think we really can because of when everything comes back from county. It's usually here a day or two before, maybe 2 days before, something like that.
Well, like looking at this month, for example, I can't remember exactly what day I get it, but it's usually between the 12th and the 14th where I get that report. So the meeting would have been the 16th if we had gone for the third Thursday.
That's what it is.
So there would not have been time for me to enter everything and produce it and get it out in advance.
And it's been a problem, correct me if I'm wrong, that in the past, because we wanted something a week in advance, to move that day closer. We can definitely move it closer to a different day, but that won't give us that week buffer to review. So as long as all board members don't have an issue with that.
I'm thinking, I was just thinking why the fourth, I wanted to understand fully why we are at the end of the month versus not the first of the month, right?
Because we won't have last month's, all of last month's vouchers and everything else to review. And while all we're doing, really, as we know, is reviewing the vouchers that our auditing officer has already approved, it is something we as the elected officials are supposed to do every month.
And it's got to be done monthly, and we don't get it until mid-month to be done by the end of the month.
Yes, sir.
Is that, okay.
That would be correct.
So that's, okay. Then I would propose we move to a Tuesday night, is what I'm thinking. Of the fourth week is fine. The Tuesday nights,
Tuesdays.
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know what day of the week the city council meetings are.
They're Tuesdays at
I know they're
6:30.
Tuesdays, I just don't know what day of the week. Twice a month, I know that.
First and third?
Does that matter?
It would be, we don't want to go up against them if we can avoid it, that's a smart call. Let
We
me
both
look
have
real
big
quick.
stuff going on in camping.
So the,
City.
so if you do it the fourth Tuesday of every month, that,
Oh, then it wouldn't. If
Then
they're
it
first and
wouldn't-
I
third.
want to double check the city council.
Sometimes we share police, etc. I've seen it happen 4 times.
has it been 4?
I've seen it happen 4 times.
Yeah.
They were here 3
Yeah.
months ago.
And then me or,
Where am I going?
yeah.
Government. City council agenda and meetings.
And that would take us away from Thanksgiving, we wouldn't have to worry about, and,
First and third. So if we did the fourth, we would not be against that.
the fourth Tuesday of every month.
6:30 was my call. I mean, it seems like everybody else likes 6 o'clock better. I'm fine either way. It's not a huge deal.
I like earlier, but
6:30 is better for me. It gives me a little bit of a breather between
Gives me like 40
the end of my day and the 20 minutes to here.
Nobody minds, I prefer 6:30 also, personally.
there's 3 guys right there.
Do you need
Go
to-
with 6:30.
6:30.
do you need a
It doesn't-
motion for that?
I like
So,
that.
so for the final version, we will need a motion from everybody, from somebody, to go to every Tuesday, fourth Tuesday of the month at 6.
I'll motion to change our regularly scheduled board meeting to the 4th week of the month on Tuesdays,
Yeah.
6:30 PM.
Here.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. And that's all. Next month, we'll add equipment, The other, I apologize. I wrote in my own handwriting here, obviously, since I wrote it. Special Olympics
I
contract.
have one of the 2020 meetings, so.
Yes.
Possibility.
Please, go ahead.
What is the,
Everybody's got a copy. Yes,
what
ma'am.
would be the thought process, or how does the board think about potentially maybe getting with the fire department to see if that room's available potentially
Fourth Tuesday.
for the board meetings?
I think it
versus-
is. I mean, somebody has told me in the past it was.
And since we're on 2020 meeting schedule, right, I mean, I thought I'd throw in potentially shifting the location a little bit as a thought process, as an idea. Though this is convenient and right here, it does not look very professional.
And did you want to do it in the big training room, just to clarify it for some of us that may have been in the facility once or twice?
I know of 2 rooms, one on, there's an east room, a north room and a south room, that's what I know.
Okay,
So
so
the south room is what I'm familiar
the
with.
south room would be the room I'm.
And that has media access as well.
Yes, it does. It has quite, it's actually quite a large room.
It is.
Where it's more comfortable for guests, it gives them tables and everything else. Easily set up. We could have computers brought up by Julie and staff if they wanted to, and it has video, the whole nine yards.
What's the cost?
It's free.
Free.
That's amazing.
It's a city, it's a public meeting
Yeah,
place.
amazing.
So, and my thought is that if we present that way early on, we can get the word out to people that maybe we can get a little more involvement from the public.
I mean, I love, like when I was the school district officer, I liked the location.
That's a great
The dice is amazing, you know, so was the audio equipment, et cetera, but I think it was $80 every time, and I think they locked us out at 9 o'clock, so
Wow.
it sucked for a couple of reasons.
No.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
No.
amazing. Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
it's right here if we needed to do a tour or whatnot, it's not like it's.
So I'd be happy to ask if it's available.
So
Great. You might know someone.
are we talking about the room that
No, it's the one on the other side of the hallway.
that's bigger?
Yes, ma'am, as you
Okay,
come
so
in, you
it's
take a
this.
left, not the right, not the small one we
Okay, okay, so there would be room for other, because
Yes.
that other room we were,
It's a little bit bigger than this
Okay,
area,
was-
isn't it?
Yes, sir, about double
Yeah.
the size.
yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, double the
So,
size of this.
Next month, we will meet here and
Until we.
copy. Any further
Just maybe
discussion?
moving forward on that, just something to kind of come back and like, yeah, I think, thank you for being open to that idea.
All
Plus it
right,
gives Julie a break of getting out of the office. It's all for you.
The only roadblock I see to it is how many times over the course of a year you guys send me to get information and check on something during a meeting, and we would give up that ability.
We would be giving up that ability, but I think we can be prepared.
Back door.
Yeah. Quick jog. All right. You got it.
I see it.
All right, staff reports.
What special Olympics?
Oh, Special Olympics, thank you so much. Special Olympics, we got the contract, everybody should have a copy in front of them. Anything about this you want to say there, Pete?
No, I mean, it should be boilerplate, we just based it right off of right off the last one that we showed to you guys, which was, I think, the physical therapy people. But basically, I think we didn't even have this agreement in the past when they were here. So I think we didn't have one for Special Olympics.
And they want to come back?
No, we kind of decided we wanted.
No,
Yeah.
and they want to come back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That is phenomenal, by the way. This is great. I'm going to say that, how long has it been since they've been here? And to have them actually want to come back is awesome. So thank you guys so much. It's good to see them back. They left for a while for the history part. They left quite a long time ago. I was going to say it's over 12 years ago. Yeah. So she hasn't been back since then, has she? Sherry's been back when?
They were practicing in our facility in the spring, every year I worked here.
Sherry in the Special
I
Olympics?
don't know if it was always Sherry, but we did have Special Olympics swimmers practicing here.
Swimmers individually, but Special Olympics, yeah, okay, so Special Olympics as a group under Sherry has not been back for quite a long time.
I'd have to check. I
Yeah.
thought it was for the last couple of years they were here, but I'm not 100% on that. I know she was here, I just don't know that she was running it for them.
Okay, so it might have been a group that wasn't associated. Well, either way, it's good to see them back, and I check on that, but it's good to see them back. This is with the Special Olympics, and they'll be practicing here. Are they gonna do any meets here?
I don't really know. You know, Jenny's put that together
Okay.
on her way out the door, and I just got around Monday, and she said she'd have it ready for us, and then the child was sick, and that's why it was on the agenda, and then we took it off, but then she came to work today, finished it up, and so
All right,
it's kind of hot off the press, and if we need to...
it's only for a couple of months.
And I'm pretty sure that it's pretty much similar wording to the last one that we approved.
Questions, comments from the board?
Sounds exactly like what we've approved for everyone else, with the exception of the special needs.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool,
Okay.
there you go. All right,
Does this person need any kind of a motion or no? I don't think so.
Nope.
I wasn't sure. I don't remember you guys doing it before. So.
no,
I don't know.
go ahead and sign it. No, thanks for bringing it to us. You're gonna sign it? Yeah, thanks. All right, staff reports.
And you get something right? Paper.
From Jenny, yeah, there's something.
Yeah, we got something from Jenny.
And,
You wanted to tell us about the hot tub?
well, yeah, and I don't know, did you get
Do you want me to see if I can grab him? He's standing out there. He gave us a bullet list, but
It's not in our minutes, is it?
Yeah, it's towards the end. It's right after the P&L.
Yeah, and there's not one there for me, because I just got back, and I probably could have something to say, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah, maintenance report for December and January. Can you give us an update on the hot tub there, Matt, specifically?
So, I, after several attempts to unplug, I've narrowed down to the lines that are just blocked off from years of not running. I'm making progress. I have decided not to pursue any more heavy equipment. I've snaked the lines. I've ran an aquajet through it. I have run a sink auger. I have backfilled the lines from the back. I mean, you name it, I've done it. The thing that I have found that seems to be working the best is my last ditch effort, which I'm working on now, baking soda and vinegar. It's a really mild solution, but because of the chemical reaction, because of what appears to be blocking off the lines, it seems to be breaking it up little by little. There's just a lot of it in there. There's a garbage can up here that just the bottom of it is full, filled. It's got about 20 pounds in it. That's about the fourth one that I pulled out there. So roughly about 70 to 80 pounds of just DE, sand, miscellaneous.
DE's diatomaceous earth, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
It is. I believe that at some point before we had the sand filter put in, there may have been a diatomaceous earth filter in place. And when those grids inside of it get holes in them, that's the diatomaceous earth, the particles for it is actually smaller than red blood cells. So if it even has the tiniest little tear, all that stuff will pass through and it'll collapse over time.
Like plaque?
Yeah.
All right.
And then,
But you've cleared the
I
big
use it.
drains.
right.
The big
The
pipes,
main
all
drains
six
have been
across
cleared.
the water
Awesome.
have been
Yeah.
cleared.
Now we're working on the skimmers. The skimmers seem to be,
How long are the skimmers?
without being able to see an actual schematic, I actually got the contact information for the fellow who remodeled the hot tub. I guess it's been 16, 17 years ago. But I have not been able to get in touch with him. I've actually called him on 3 separate occasions today. He does not have voicemail set up. It just rings and rings and rings. So that's a little unfortunate, but I mean, I'm persistent, so I'll just keep
Okay.
trying.
All right.
I just did a second treatment on those lines now. It's the same thing is still happening. It's not bubbling up nearly as much as it was. So it appears that whatever was in there is slowly but surely starting to break up, and there's quite a bit more of the debris in the main drains now. I do know the skimmers are connected to the main drains. So at this point, professional opinion, it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
Time and persistence. Like I said, I don't want to put any more major money into it. If I was going to go that route, I would say call somebody, call American League Detection or something like that. But if this works, then we're out, $100, $200 for baking soda and vinegars, and so be it. I just can't in good conscience rent another piece of equipment and not know that I'm going to make any progress.
Right. We need to snake lines again after you think, or?
Probably would not be a bad idea.
Right.
I'm trying to be really careful with that right now because it is an older system. The difference between baking soda and vinegar is really mild versus putting a metal cable down there and letting it turn
Yep.
around. I don't
Makes
want
sense.
anything loose or bust anything up. It is Schedule 80, so it's good, strong stuff. But, again, like I said, a mild chemical reaction versus good old-fashioned manpower, I'm going to go with 8th grade science experiments.
Okay. All right.
Would WMS come out and help with that? I mean,
Oh, they dig up and put all the pipes in for 20 grand, and that's probably a good price. I don't know, I'm just, seriously. I mean, they're not interested in the little
In
stuff.
their defense, Wayne and Lyle have actually been in contact with me every step of the way.
Good.
Mike has been exceedingly helpful. It's just that everything that he has suggested, again, I've been doing this a long time, so everything that he suggested, it's already been done.
So,
So he'll say, hey, try this. I did that yesterday.
and it's,
I've just made no progress. I mean, I've made progress, just not the kind of progress I would like. The kind of progress I would like is for the hot tub to work.
questions?
So to our knowledge, clearing those 3 skimmers is the long pole in the tent, as Army guys would say.
Mhm.
But he has already cleared all 6 of those across there, which I just said. But now, we also know, you can tell them, what do we have to do to the 6 things that are there?
And those 6 main drain, or 5 main drains, excuse me,
I'm sorry, I didn't count.
oh, no, it's all right.
I just pointed it
Those in themselves took me almost the entire month of January, well, collectively the end of December and up to this point, like January, and it has literally just been flushing it out, running the bladder up through it, sticking my arm as far as I can get down in there and digging it out manually. And the only reason I've been able to do that is because it's a 6-inch drain, or a 3-inch drain.
Right, but also that's past tense, but future tense, there's 3 inches have
Oh,
to be
yes.
cut off those
I'm
pipes.
sorry. So,
And so there's gonna be some concrete chiseling and some cutting in order, because it's, I think, Shane, it must be almost the same as when you took me on the tour by down there and said, you don't know how hard they had to work, Pete, to get those down into those holes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so we have 5 of them that need that schedule.
Yes.
Oh,
That's-
So that PVC cut off, and That way it seats another,
That way it has the proper cover, the filter to meet the new cover, to meet the new regulations.
There was a minor miscommunication between WMS and myself. I hate to go back, way back, but when Rex was here, he was he was pretty involved in the maintenance program, so things were being relayed to him, kind of bounced off of him and to me. To my understanding, it was we just needed our subsystem to be functional. But after discussing it with Wayne and Lyle, I actually had a conference call with them a couple of weeks ago. And it turns out what we actually need to do is, in those 5 main drains, like people say, we need to chisel out around each one of those drains about 3 to 4 inches, and then cut that Schedule 80 down another 3 inches so that we can be VGB compliant. The drain covers that they sold us are not the correct ones. They have made it very clear that they expect us to, or expect me to return them to them. They'll credit us for them, and then they'll get us the ones that we need. The ones that we need are Aquaguard, and we've had just basic.
How much more?
I'm sorry.
How much more?
I think the cost is pretty similar. I think if there's a difference, it may be by a few $100s.
How much more are we looking at spending on concrete, tile work, and everything afterwards?
So tile work and concrete, really at this point, it's just demolition. We have 2 options. They have given us a quote for cutting it down, making it feasible, putting the framework in for the new filters. It's about, they've subtracted the cost of the sump pump because I just bought a pump and put it in myself with the help of the owner of Bob's Pumps. But we're still looking at about $6,000. I think the cost of the sump pump and installation was about $500 of the $6,600. Or our second option is I can do it myself, and they have offered to kind of walk me through the process.
Okay.
That'll all be in our maintenance report.
Yeah, can we put that in the maintenance
Right.
report?
can we talk, and he and I can talk about that.
Okay.
Because it does look like mostly demo. If we can find the right tools that we can rent for,
And on that note, I actually think that the primary tool that we would need is just a good chipping gun, which we actually have on site.
Okay.
Whether or not it works is not to me. I haven't had a need for a bulldog chipping gun yet, but in worst case scenario, plug it in. If it doesn't work, we have to run something.
I mean, my initial thought is, I don't like to tackle something that's beyond our capability. But demoing that to a point where you can cut off 3 inches of plastic pipe so you can fit something else down in there. Doesn't seem that difficult.
Personal opinion, I think the biggest difficulty would be once the concrete is chiseled up, would be finding a way to properly cut the lines to cut the main drains down to size.
Solves it. Because it won't work, because you can't.
Yeah, because of the angle, I wouldn't be able
Because
to
of
get
the
it in there.
Okay. All right, well, maybe we chisel it all out and then ask somebody that has it.
So you guys are gonna work on this one?
We can,
Yeah, so we don't need to beat that point up in front of the board.
I mean, I did find out about it while I was gone by people telling me about it, but yesterday was the first I got to look at it.
All right. And then, just so you know, Matt, Pete's gonna get with you, we want an updated maintenance report with what we had from last year and everything by next month for our meeting.
And Matt, what was the thing that came up earlier tonight, that you mentioned for the city, something's gonna have to be done?
So that I actually need to call John on, because that's another thing that in his departure from us, I didn't really get much of, I didn't get many of his files. He was kind of the one that was in contact with John about that. John gave him a piece of paper. John's our cross-section specialist from the city of Oak Harbor. So there's some pretty major work that needs to be done in the back. One of which I know for sure is the irrigation system that used to be existing outside, because we don't have, I assume that we don't have any plans to revamp that anytime soon.
Oh, no, not with the millions that we have in reserve.
It's not in our list.
So it actually needs to be, we need to pull that backflow preventer off of there and just cap everything off.
Is that major, James?
But there's already a new backflow preventer, just need to replumb it?
No, it's an existing backflow preventer
Yeah.
on the old irrigation system. And if we don't plan to, and that also came from Tim, our service marshal. backflow testing, our backflow preventer testing.
So we have plumbing for an irrigation system that we don't use and we can just cap it?
Correct.
Cool.
Gotta cut that backflow preventer out of there and cap it off.
$500, I don't know. What do you think? Not too bad?
Also a pretty easy fix.
Cool.
Okay, cool,
Cut it, cap it.
awesome.
It probably falls under the director's.
Yo, way
Come out,
under.
right?
Yep,
Yeah, if
thank you
don't
for
need
clarifying,
our-
Matt. Yeah, question. All right. Matt, we don't need to keep you. We're going on admin reports, so thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Admin corner, Julie?
So I have had Samantha start working on a tracking system that will allow us to have hourly attendance numbers to just track flow of when people are coming in. That's helpful as we're looking at tightening up schedules, especially for lap swim, to see the time of day when it does get the most usage so that we can utilize the facility most effectively. I've gone through and done some updating in eSoft, which is our point of sale system. We have also started looking not only at eSoft, but the Buddy Punch system that we use, QuickBooks, all of our different software programs to make sure we're utilizing all of their features to the maximum extent possible so that we're making the most of what we're paying for essentially. The biggest thing on here that's been a concern over recent weeks, we've had an increased number of transients coming into the building. It's the most significant problem probably on the weekends. We've had to call a non-emergency police line a handful of times to have people removed from the building that were causing disturbances. I think it's more of a problem on the weekend because we're kind of alone on the weekend. So just putting it out there is something for everyone to be aware of. And we're reminding staff, if you're leaving in the evening like this time of night, always leave with someone else. And Jenny and I were working on adjusting schedules so that we didn't ever have a staff member in the building alone.
I was gonna say that.
So yeah, just something to be aware of.
And we adjusted the time that we're trying to close the showers
But
off
yes.
in the locker room to get people out of here. So, like, what was happening is we could be almost a whole hour after closing, the people were still in that locker room. And so we put up something, there's already in the locker room to tell them about it. And so what happens right now, Chris works with this stuff probably a lot more than I do, but people are allowed to take showers here. They can come and take a shower. And so that's the way it's working. And we've had a little bit of problem, with a couple of us hanging around a little bit too long kind of thing. And the thing that we talked about also is to possibly, we don't expect the police to sit out there all the time, but we could ask them, there's people on duty that they could maybe swing by here in the evening, a little more presence. And we talked about, having more older adults in the building over the weekends because people have said it's all teenagers dealing with this stuff. And so, we've talked about it since I got back, and we're taking steps, and we'll take some more steps.
And I do want to say that probably 98% of the people that come through regardless are very polite and respectful and they do their business and they leave. So I don't want to sound like every person that is struggling that comes through the door is an issue for us. It's just something that when it happens, it's unsettling enough for the staff and for the patrons. We have patrons that if we ask them, are you okay going out alone because they look a little nervous? Oh yeah, I parked on this side of the parking lot, so I'm okay. And so it's a concern when it starts affecting our patron usage.
And all our lights are working properly?
I believe they are now, yes.
We still don't have enough lights outside.
I don't think so either. I know.
So I have a couple of thoughts. I do work with this population in another organization, and which was something I wanted to bring up in new business, but since I know what you've got going there with the 250 for showers, I can, two things. One, if there's a way you can let me know who the trouble ones are, right? If you know by name, by any chance, because you're not bound by confidentiality on any of these folks, right?
Correct.
I can then put words out to the people that really do handle these people on a regular basis through the night-to-night shelter and through
I didn't think of
the
that.
soup kitchen,
Yeah.
Spend Cafe's got their meals and stuff. To just kind of like reiterate what proper etiquette is when you're getting a shower and you're hanging around a public facility and whatnot. And so is just to kind of, we're a family raising a family, and it's a village, right? So this is how we bring all those things together, right? I do know that the Wiggly Homeless Coalition would like to be able to help pay for some of those showers for people that can't. And so I think I can just get with Pete on that because it's not really,
Yep, not a
it
board
doesn't
issue.
need board
Because
approval.
we had the token system for a while, right?
We do whatever we need to do. I'll get with you this weekend maybe,
I think the city,
or even, I can even get with Julie.
there was a token that they.
The county had
was
it.
purchasing them from
So the
us.
county had a system in place before, but they're no longer funding.
Right, and I kind of knew that.
Right, but-
And see, the city, the thing that's driving them here too, I'm pretty sure the marina closed it down because when I was just down.
There are no showers
That's right.
except for Deception Pass and Fort Case.
Exactly,
So,
so, and
yeah.
at one point, the gym, one of the.
So Thrive was opening up for a
That's
while
right,
at a
that's
period of
gone.
time,
So
and that's gone.
We're all that's
So we're
left,
in.
basically.
And we did it before.
Yes.
So if we could go back to it again, I work with a coalition that would be more than happy to be the funding source for, and they would be providing out the tokens, right, for their people.
Right.
Everybody else, obviously, so.
And then
So-
the other thing that
I'll
I
just
think
get
we
with
did, Julie, is we made it
Or
not
Julie.
during any open swims. right?
Yeah, the plan.
Yeah, we can have, you can give me,
So, I'm gonna cut you all off in the interest of
Time.
and time. So it sounds like there's a lot of good discussion that needs to happen, and Chris has that for action with the director and or Julie.
yeah.
Cool.
That's good.
All right, anything else, Pete? Anything else you want to bring up to the board? Good? All right. Final board comments. We'll go around.
Okay, it's not in the agenda though, but can we work with you guys and schedule the new board member training?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We probably should have put it on the agenda, but I just thought of it a little while ago. and-
With the insurance
Yeah,
folks.
So the insurance people will come here and we.
Yep, can you send out, you can send out an email, and what we'll do is send out, like we've done in the past, send out an email of some proposed times,
Yeah, and that's what. we
And-
did, and-
and then everybody respond back to Pete, don't respond to anybody else. Actually, it should only be 2 new members.
No, I think everybody should attend.
All right, there we go. We'll all do, why not? We'll all do it
Some
together.
of this stuff gets dated and then
It's
maybe
like the
there's
third time.
some potential that things have come up over the years that people have forgotten that they.
All right.
they're bound by.
So Pete, if you send that out to all 5 of us, and then everybody, just a reminder, please don't hit reply all on your emails.
Correct.
Just reply to Pete on what dates work with you, and that way we get the dates in and we're good to go.
Okay.
Perfect.
And we will also be conducting some staff training with those folks who come here.
Awesome.
And then Wendy, oh, the online stuff, that was online, that Wendy had sent us.
Yes.
Yes, you'll have to remind me.
Right, okay.
I'll-
Yep. All right. Anything else, Pete? All right. Final board comments. Julie.
Nothing.
Pat. Chris?
Yeah, I do have one, I know, and thank you again Julie, for putting everything together. But I don't know if we page numbered the copies for the public, but I remember it being discussed at one point, page numbers.
Page.
As I'm navigating this stuff new, I would really appreciate having a hard copy page number so that I can say, hey, where are you at? You can say I'm on page 6, or whatever.
Like we did with the budget.
Like we did kind of with the budget. And the other thing is I don't know about anybody else, I would prefer digital copies. I don't know that I'm gonna get by here in time to get a paper set to review.
So generally, as a digital copy is created, a hard copy is put in your folder. So this time, with a variety of circumstances, some of the pages were not ready until today.
Oh, gotcha.
So it was just a hard copy. In the future, my goal is always to have the agenda and all material out a week prior to the meeting. Moving to Tuesday,
We'll give you a little leeway.
it's, it might be that they come out the Wednesday prior to the Tuesday meeting, so 6 days for sure, so they do have plenty of time to review.
Yeah, and I would prefer the solid packet digital, if I can.
One
You get
one
all
pack.
of the
Well,
pages?
everything that we get, like this whole stack right here, and minus a couple,
And one
plus what you had already sent, right? I'd love all of that digitally.
So in one document,
Scanned, or, I mean, you could, if you gotta do different attachments, but just like.
it
we-
usually comes out in separate attachments.
Yeah, because there was I only got 4 attachments on the email, and none of this was in that, right? And and I can be much more prepared if I have it digitally than I can.
But the snow days and all the.
Oh, yeah.
Excuses.
Cause some.
Oh, wait, I do have one more thing after that.
I'm done, that's it.
Okay.
That's my list.
And I know we hadn't expected Pete to come back in January, originally after December. But we never hired that admin assistant person. Now that he's here, is that going to,
We can definitely move forward to do that, yes.
Yes. Yes, we can do that, and we've talked a good bit about it. Do I have the job description that
It
was
was-
approved?
It was approved last month.
So,
in that packet?
I don't.
Yes, so we will have to,
See, I don't know, I mean, wasn't Holly Sue was working on.
yes, so,
And she was supposed to get with me, which never happened before I left.
no, but we actually, we finished it last month. It was one of the ones we
It was
approved.
done.
I have a copy.
Yeah,
I have a
we should,
hard copy.
yeah,
Or digital copy.
So- we will ask.
Yeah, if you could give me, and my only little apprehension is, depending on exactly what it says, whether, I guess it's one of those, if that's what you approve, that's what I have to do, advertise for. And like one thing that came up in discussion as we discussed how we're going to arrange, and I think I've already discussed it a little bit with you, Julie, and with Chris, is that, going forth, a slight rearrangement to where, right now we have, which we didn't mention, which we could, is instead of having an aquatics director, we split it up.
That's all in what we worked on last month as far as position
Okay.
description. So we'll get that to you.
What this person was going to do, and to the administrative assistant, what I need to look at it, and maybe if I have a problem, get with you guys. But the thing we were thinking is a little bit more than just support this board.
It's board and director.
Yeah.
Well, and then maybe even a little bit more other people inside the building.
So we'll look at that.
But again, because depending on what that thing says, is the kind of person you're gonna hire.
Right.
To do what it says.
Right.
And so, but yeah,
Are you saying you want them to become a lifeguard certified person as well?
yeah.
Yes.
Well,
And-
when I first started, every supervisor.
Everybody should be, right, yeah.
Because I used to supervise.
right.
And I'd go out there and.
So we'll get that to you. Anything else on
I'll
that?
get a copy of what
Yeah.
you approved and we can figure that out.
We'll get that to you.
We can get started.
All right. Julie? Shane?
The thing that you got from Wendy, I'm assuming that's the 2 classes that you have to take through Bob Ferguson, the Attorney
Yes.
General's office. Cool.
Correct.
I know that's required by law. The other thing is make sure your C1 and F1 is in candidate form and the
Yes.
financial form, otherwise they will fine you $1,000. They're not kidding, I
What do we
promise.
have to do?
Campaign, it's a C1 form and a F1 form, a financial.
Financial
form. You
disclosure.
gotta show your bank statement every year to prove that somebody did it. If we build a new pool, to prove that $1 million didn't show up in
Under
your.
500.
So it's automatic? It's an automatic form now?
Yeah.
It's by the Washington State.
Yeah, I've gotten some emails, and from what I've read, I mean, we'll look into it for
You
sure.
have to, whether you have anything that they have to see or not, you have to fill it out.
So even though we don't
So-
get paid to be on the board,
Yeah.
we could be in a $30 million contract to build a new pool, for instance, and you could be the tie-breaking vote, and you might have a lot of money showing up in your bank account. That's why they look. That's all they're looking for, nothing else.
Yeah. So it's yeah,
You
we've all,
have to put your assets and.
There was the Phoenix Coyotes were leaving Phoenix. The vote was for them to leave. Somehow at the last minute, they end up getting an arena and they stay. But there's a city council member whose vote flipped and they found a few million dollars in his bank account. So that's why they keep an eye out for it.
How many?
It was a couple.
Not,
It might be
more
worth
than
it.
you're ever gonna see at the school.
I thought I filled, that's every year.
Yeah, it's an annual thing.
I had to do it for the election.
Right, and now you have to do it as an elected official. So that was as a candidate, and now you do it as an elected
That's where they
official.
almost got me the first time.
Yes.
Okay. And
So,
I usually get an email.
That's that email and
Thank you.
we have one.
That's someone-
Darn.
all right,
I go.
so, anything else?
Yeah, you know, I see here, and I heard as well, I see our aquatics director has left us for another job. That's good for her. I don't know, she was here, I don't know, the better part of the year, did some really good things. And we wouldn't be where we're at out there without her. And I'd like to thank her for her service and best of luck to her.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, I've got no final board comments. Our next meeting is February 25th, Tuesday at 6:30. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?